Hey guys, welcome to the Neutral Jing Podcast. This is Corey.
I'm Ryan.
And this is Sean.
And I'm Sean.
He's Sean.
We brought Sean back.
Yep, he did not awful enough that we had him back a second time.
Although, not a good start.
Yeah, he forgot to introduce himself, but he's not here to introduce himself. He's here to talk about Korra, the discussion we're going to have for this episode. The pilot just aired on April 14th, on a Saturday.
Yes, they are on Saturdays.
Yes, they are.
Indeed. Very early in the morning, at least for me.
Yeah,
11 in the morning.
Yeah.
Wouldn't exactly call that early morning, but okay.
Well, it's in the morning. Anything in the morning is early.
Exactly.
I guess just every Saturday I've been going to like a local restaurant with friends at like anywhere from 9 to 10. So like
I don't
11.
have friends, okay?
Hey, I invited you. It's okay.
So?
All right.
That would make it that I can't say that line.
Okay.
Anyways, do you think we should try giving a little bit of an introduction of Legend of Korra?
Sure, why not?
Like we did with Avatar, The Last Airbender, except we won't go on a tangent of how good the writers are, since we already did that.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Who wants to do it?
Should I do it again?
Sure,
Yeah.
why not?
Sean should do it. It's a guest job.
It's better than
All
I'm
right.
going to do, so.
So, we've already gone over, the world that this exists in, and the original conflict. And The Legend of Korra is a storyline that takes place years later after Aang has died and the new avatar named Korra has grown up.
16.
And yeah, by grown up, apparently 16 is grown up there. Ready to go out, face the city. And so they right away introduce her, let you know that pretty much everyone you loved is dead. And then it moves on to Republic City, which was the dream institution of Aang, where he kind of brought all the nations together in this one city. But with his death came problems. Mainly, the antagonist of this series seems to be a chi blocker named Amon, who is leading this anti-bending revolution, trying to take out all the benders, because it's kind of unfair in his eyes.
Yeah, it's not quite like Aang, where the Fire Nation had already destroyed most of, or like all the air temples, and the Equalist movement is what I think they're calling themselves, right? They're actually, they just started, like they announced their kind of revolution. I think is the third episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not quite like that. Korra, like when she visits the city, she does like it. The city isn't quite what Aang and Tenzin 2, the son of Aang, kind of felt for the city, but it's not quite in this whole like there's one nation trying to take over the world quite yet.
No. Yeah. Well, and the Equalists are sort of using the problems that are already in the city with the gangs. They're sort of using that situation to their advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're saying, look at those bullies who use their abilities against you, so they kind of use that as leverage.
It is very easy to point out, like, when benders are bad, since, like, when they do bad, they, like, blow up a house.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I love the like mafia, like gangster metaphors in the Airbender universe. You know what I mean? When they're like, so we may have to burn down the shop. You know what I mean? That the same sort of like attitude in this world. It was kind of funny. It was funny to see that as we're moving, into a more futuristic or more modern universe.
Yeah, this is kind of set around like the 20s, 30s of like our like timeline or our world, right? Like they're starting to have cars. They had like microphones even, but they're not quite with like TVs and all that kind of stuff yet.
Well,
it's a big steampunk thing.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah. Well, I guess they had a radio, so I guess it does imply that it's probably not TV yet.
Yeah, they're getting up there.
But
But
like even the powering of the city, like they haven't really developed the sources of power that like our civilization had to go through. They they use bending to power the city.
mhm.
Yeah. Well,
I
and
thought
I
that was
think
interesting.
that's the interesting dilemma society's faced with because before, like everything, like the trains, um,
Oh yeah,
everything was done by some sort of bending. So now that there's an alternative, that sort of levels the playing field a little bit. And I don't want to speak too much. I don't know when we're gonna do spoilers for Revelation. That one adds another level of how they can level the playing field. But technology is definitely a big part of that because the Equalists use different technologies to make them more capable in battle. Whereas, like in the past, basically, in Airbender, all they had were swords. Whereas in this, they actually have other means to fight.
yeah. How about we start with like so Legend of Korra is actually pretty new. It's only 2 weeks old now, I think. And
Hmm.
how about like do you guys remember kind of what your thoughts were when you first heard it was announced and what you were kind of expecting from it and all that kind of stuff? You guys remember that? Remember your
Yeah.
feeling about it? Want to share?
Sure. When it was first announced, I was worried until I heard that the two original guys were doing it. That's all I need to know. It's like it's those same dudes that created it and wrote most of the episodes, and they're going to write all of the episodes. That's all I needed to hear. Because like if they're heavily involved, then it's gonna be good. They're good. You know what I mean? If it had been like, oh, they announced it, but oh, it's gonna be some other just other Nick show writer coming on board and not the original guys, then I
Yeah.
would have
Yeah.
been like super skeptical.
Mm.
Well, for me, like I was also like really excited, fairly shortly after the announcement. But that was in large part because of hearing that they weren't going to stick with the same characters, and they were just scrapping that and moving forward because they understood that what they had created um, originally was something that shouldn't really be messed with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I also like that they can progress the world even more. Like if they stuck with Aang and the crew, like it would the world would progress, but not quite as much as if they actually just said, "Hey, let's take the next Avatar in her or his adventure," kind of thing.
yeah.
And
I mean, they're smart in the same way that you guys may not be that familiar with this, but at least the concept, like the Doctor Who, shows it's a new Doctor every time. So it kind of creates this way that they can bring on a new character that's the same character. So it's actually kind of similar, because it's the Avatar is a new character and a new look and a new personality, but it's that same thing. You know what I mean? It's that same. It's what's the word? Uh, the Indian philosophy of
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know where you're going
where
with
like
this.
their spirit gets passed down to different bodies.
Reincarnation?
Reincarnation. I mean,
Oh,
that's basically
okay.
what the Avatar is reincarnation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like sorry, that's the word I was trying to come up with. So it's the same sort of thing. Like it's a fun way to keep the show fresh without completely ruining the story. Making it make sense. It's
Hmm.
cool and they can pull that off correctly.
Yeah, for me, I love the series, but I can't exactly remember like how I was feeling about the series back then, but I do remember hearing or seeing or somehow finding a video of like their Comic Con release or something like that, their announcement that Legend of Korra. And when I like before then, I wasn't like I wasn't saying, oh, we need more Avatar. I would have loved it, but I wasn't going like, oh, I need more and more of it. But when that video came out, it was like 30 minutes of shaky cam and terrible audio, but I watched straight through it because I wanted to hear more about it.
Hmm.
And then even up to the release, though, I wasn't one that tried following it too much, but now I like ever since the first episode, 2 episodes were leaked. Not leaked, but what was it, special release or whatever online? I've
Yeah,
been,
that was awesome.
yeah,
Official leak. Yeah.
yeah, officially.
How are you guys with do you guys just watch the episodes or do you do a lot of the side? Because I know there's a lot of official and unofficial extra looks into it and comic books and all this crazy stuff. Like I just watch the episodes personally. Do you guys do more than that?
I wish I knew about the comic book talking about or is it? It's a comic, right? That was the
I
thing.
think so.
Like a graphic novel or something.
Yeah, I wish I knew about that, but
Yeah,
other
well,
than
and I
that, I'm okay with just watching the episode.
yeah, me too. But I mean, like some people, I know some like, Korra experience or something. I forget what it's called. Website where you can delve into more stuff. I don't know. I'm never into that kind of stuff.
Oh, there
But
was this like weird game released on the Nickelodeon site where you could just like go through the city and get a couple extra facts, which basically also fills you in on everything they've done in the comic books. So between Wikipedia, you don't have to anything to figure out what happened.
Okay.
Oh, that's what I'm using.
Yeah, I mean, like, I really love this world, and it's one of the ones that I would love to dig deep into. Like, I just found out about the timeline wiki thing, and
Yeah.
like, I guess I haven't put like too much. Like, I don't go on Google and go like next, latest Korra news or anything like that. But if it comes to me somehow and I find out about it, I will probably read it and stop whatever I was doing at that time.
Yeah, it looks kind of interesting. Just not college student paying his money interesting.
yeah,
I got
well,
my
for me,
wiki.
I just don't want to get spoiled on stuff that may be revealed in an episode. You know what I mean? I
True.
feel like sometimes, like I have this one friend, Jillian, she'll, just blurt out something that she
Shut
read
up.
somewhere, and I'll be like, "What? Oh, come on!" Like I wanted to just find that out from the show because I'm sure they'll tell us eventually.
I couldn't
Yeah.
even spoil a fight for you.
Yeah, I know. Well, I didn't know what you were like. Well, I don't. It's this thing in the
I
episode.
was
I'm like, well,
like,
then
it's
don't
not
say
really
it.
a spoiler.
Yeah, I know, but I just don't
You,
trust you.
you didn't watch. You didn't watch. What was the second? No. What episode are they on? They're on the third episode, right?
Yeah, well, the first two were packed together. I saw both those online, but
Oh yeah, it was the third episode. It was.
I didn't have regular TV yet, so
Yeah.
then I watched it the day after on iTunes. So you were like on Saturday and Sunday morning, you were like, "Oh God, I need to tell you this thing," and it's like, "No, just wait one day."
I was angry. What can I say?
Yeah, I know. You couldn't wait one day because you're mad at some guy in some message board.
um. Anyways, do you guys want to go on to just going through the episode, or how do you guys want to do this?
We can just kind of go through what's gone on. I don't know. Does anyone have a favorite character already? How about that?
Uh, Probably Korra. Just characters haven't developed too much actually.
I was about to say she's the only
Yeah.
character we've spent time developing, really. I mean,
Katara.
yeah, yeah, that doesn't count. You can't pick Katara. Well,
I
I like how you said earlier that all the characters we cared about died. Like you didn't like Katara very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Zuko apparently is still alive, right? I think that was spoiled.
Apparently somewhere.
Yeah, that was the spoiler she told me. I was like, come on, I'm sure they'll tell us that at some point. Now you just spoiled everyone on the internet. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I know. I'm just kidding. Yeah,
Like,
that's like I said, it wasn't a big deal. It was just like I would have preferred to just find that out in the show. But yeah, I'm just looking at the character names to remember which ones are interesting.
Bolin is probably he's the comedic relief.
Hmm.
But of course he was gone. He's only been in, like there's been 3 episodes. He's been in basically one and a half of them. Because first one he's not in it. Then the latest one he isn't in for about half of it.
Why,
Yeah.
why is that, Ryan? Why isn't he in it? I'm just kidding.
He
'Cause-
was hilarious in the third one.
yeah.
Oh, he's such an idiot. Likable idiot, but yeah.
Yeah. I also love the son, Tenzin's son.
Oh my god. Like it seems like people either hate him or love him.
That is the
Oh,
funniest small child I have ever seen in a in an anime.
Just, his introduction is him sucking on his father's head, right?
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
It's like,
the
That
guitar picks him up. Unhead me, woman.
uh,
his daughter is pretty funny too. Like when he was like, you kids need to promise me you won't be like this when you're a teenager," and she's just like, "No promises."
yeah, yeah.
Like I like that part. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, they did do a really good job of like keeping the humor where it was.
They definitely will probably see the development of their own running gags because that was one of the big things in like like the cabbages and different things like that. But
Although,
they're really good about not overusing it. And
mhm.
I don't think I think it would be weird if they did a cabbages thing in Korra. You know what I mean? They kind of need to make their own jokes.
I think if
Yes.
This
they
one.
showed it once, I think they
Yeah,
should.
yeah, maybe once. That would maybe be funny, but you know what I mean? Like they have to come up with new jokes in this setting that they can repeat. But definitely, I think we'll see those pop up because I mean those took a while to kind of develop over the show. So I think we'll see that same type of humor. It was the same guys; they still have the same sense of humor. I think So definitely see more of that.
So like the first episode was kind of just a really quick intro to everything.
I had a lot
Um,
of stuff.
yeah, yeah, you got a lot of stuff written down. Um,
Then you should see my second episode outline, just a list.
they they were packing just like a ton of stuff into, especially the first two episodes.
Mhm.
Just like so much information, but it was very smoothly done.
Yeah,
Um, but we get like the total update on the new world, like within the first 10 minutes of uh, the the first episode, and the characters are all set up.
the world.
I didn't love the first episode. It was just more of like a necessary thing
Yeah,
that I really enjoyed.
it was a lot of setup to it. Like it was one of the very first scenes was like when I first started watching this, I was on my computer, I was letting it load up, I think because it was slow for some odd reason, and when I first see Kid Korra, like when she was a little kid, like right then and there, I knew that the series was going to be good because they kept their comedy, and I trust them that they'll hit the good, like deeper topics or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought she was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing. Just comparing other shows I've seen pilots of, like for instance, a Twin Peaks pilot. Like more happened in the 20-minute Legend of Korra than almost like the first season of Twin Peaks. You know what I mean? Like they just pack. But again, like you said, not. It didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel bad. It was like they really made just this entire story just like boom 20 minutes like and I think
Yeah.
that because they're restricted to that 20 minutes they talk about how restrictions can actually make you more creative. So like they're given like this 20-minute time slot, so that kind of forces them like, oh, like everything that's in here has to really matter because all we have is 20 minutes. So I
Hmm.
think it really forces them to really pack it in, and that's what makes it so just rich and fulfilling in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. The dialogue sometimes feels a little rushed, but actually I was thinking when I was watching the first episode over that this show is striking me as like being even more on point than the original show in that there doesn't seem to be like any filler
Yeah,
at all.
it doesn't seem like there will ever be a filler episode.
Yeah.
Well, we aren't at season 3 yet. No, I'm just kidding.
There won't be.
Yeah. Um, well, that's because if you look at who wrote the original episodes, whenever it was the main guys writing it, then it was good. But like the filler ones were when they just brought in like a staff writer
I
Yeah.
or whatever to kind of fill in that, and they were never bad.
yeah,
Like there's no bad episode like truly bad. Like most shows, like they're just like awful episodes. Where it's like who thought this like psych episodes. There've been a couple of psych episodes that I just like hated.
really.
Um, yeah, there were a couple of them that just really irritate me for various reasons, just like out of character things. That's my number one pet peeve is when characters just don't act like themselves. You know what I mean? Like a
Mhm.
different writer comes in and they don't understand the character and they kind of take it a different direction. It's just like, what are you doing? Like Sean wouldn't say that. You know what I mean? It's that kind of stuff that bugs me. But
Yeah.
but yeah, because it's the main dude's writing all the episodes, yeah, we probably won't see any filler because they have the whole story mapped out and they're just gonna plunk along and go through the story.
Yeah, so this it should be really exciting overall, and they've already gone through a lot. I don't know if we want to take this episode by episode, or
Well,
because I feel like the stuff that we really want to talk about is happening in like the most recent two,
yeah.
the second and the third.
Well, I guess we can kind of hit this as so during the very first episode, they're trying to set up so many things. Like they basically said like, here's Korra's profile, and let us write everything. So one of the first ones, of course, was her struggle with like the spiritual side. That's something completely different from Aang. You guys have any thoughts
Mhm.
about that? Of where it might go or anything like that?
Well, he struggled with that too, didn't he?
Like one episode.
Yeah, he caught on to it pretty quick.
No, like the whole chakra thing. Wasn't that this? That's the spiritual side stuff.
No, but he got to the spiritual world within one episode.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't know everything instantly, but Korra, suppose, Aang was, gone for 100 years and didn't have any prior training. Korra supposedly has been training since she was 4, and she
Hmm.
still hasn't gotten the spiritual side of any of the bending.
Mm.
That's part of the whole. I think that's the second episode where she's trying to learn air bending.
Yeah, well, I think that's what kind of makes her a more, at least for me, I she's a more likable character than Aang. Like Aang, I like him, but there's things about him that really irritated me sometimes, and just kind of how he was just kind of,
A
oh
kid.
no, we need to just sit down and talk about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a little bit, just like no, go beat up that dude. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
sometimes you have to fight people. You know what I mean? He was just kind of a sissy sometimes. It felt like. Um, so it's nice. She just goes in there and she's just like just throwing fireballs immediately. You know what I mean? Like that.
But
That's what makes her kind of a more compelling character.
yeah. Another difference actually from Korra and Aang is that she already mastered Earth, Fire, and Water,
Hmm.
Yeah,
which I don't know if we talked about this in the last one, but I think we can all agree that it's a pretty cool change of pace kind of thing, I guess you can say. At least I think so.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's it's a totally different story arc
Yeah, like
through that.
the first book is called Air, like, and we already know there's gonna be a second season, so it's like, what's gonna happen?
It's gonna
yeah.
be light. I'm telling you. That's my that's my guess. It'll be the
All
season
right,
of light.
you heard it here first. Sean says it's gonna be a light.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, what's cool too is Aang was always defense.
Hmm.
With air, it was always about consuming whatever they're throwing at you and deflecting it. Whereas she's very offensive. She goes in there, she's throwing fireballs, she's shooting rockets, boom, boom, boom. So it's also just the fighting style even breaks up how the combat works. Like she still does defense when she needs to, but that's definitely not her focus.
Yeah.
yeah,
Whereas Aang was like almost always defensive and the only offensive when he was like fighting someone really bad or something.
it wasn't even like defensive. He literally ran away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's getting his little air bubble and roll away.
Korra, yeah, the way she's set up, like Aang, we needed like the other characters to kind of drive the story a bit, but I feel like Korra can drive the story on her own.
She
Like
definitely is.
she's that kind of personality.
Yeah,
Mm. Now I wonder because all of the pictures so far have been the three of them, right?
yeah.
It's I'm wondering
Mako and
if
Bolin.
they're going to add on more. I'm assuming they will, just like they did, because the first season of Avatar was Aang, Katara, and uh,
Sokka.
and
So,
Sokka, right? It was just three of them,
Yeah.
yep.
right? Yeah, and so then they added Toph and eventually Zuko, but that doesn't really count. That's just for like
It,
not very long.
it is interesting because Avatar, the first one, it was kind of split between Aang and his group and then Zuko and his uncle. This one, I guess maybe they'll split between Amon, or are they gonna go full on Korra and make
I don't.
Mako and Bolin?
Yeah, that's interesting. It hasn't it hasn't gone behind the curtain that much on Amon. They haven't really gone behind the curtain that they did a little bit, I guess. They didn't do it to the point where it felt like that was going to be something we would always know what is exactly happening. Like with Zuko. Zuko, it's like we knew like every step of the way what he was doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
It was a continuous both those stories going on. So it hasn't felt like we're going to get that split this time, but maybe that'll change as the story develops. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Did
Yeah.
we? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead and say what you're gonna say.
Okay. Have we talked about how they've said that it's going to pretty much just be that city and not like a globe trotting adventure?
Well, in the first episode, in my outline, I noted that that when Korra, runs away, runs to the public city, she has to take a boat
Hmm.
Yeah.
because Naga can't fly like Appa. So and I remember listening to the DVD commentaries, and they were always talking about how, the Ba Sing Se was like the only area they really kept revisiting for more than like one episode. And now they've
Hmm.
been in Republic City for 3 episodes. Well, I guess 2.5 episodes or whatever, 2 episodes. But you're right, because I mean, where is she gonna go to? She's learned 3 elements. She has her air master there.
Right. Well, I mean, they've confirmed it. They've said we didn't want to do that because we didn't want to retread that same pattern.
Yeah,
They've
Yeah.
come out and said that it's going to be focused on the city, and that's interesting because what made the original so interesting was the varying locations. So it'll be interesting to see how big of a city it is. It seems pretty big.
it's supposed to be.
You know
It
what I mean?
seems, yeah.
So there's probably a good variety just within that city. We've only seen bits and pieces. We've seen what like Central Park, essentially, and like downtown,
Yeah.
and kind of the outskirts where the air temple is. Is it an air temple
um,
technically, or is it something else? Is it
I think it's called Air Island or something like that. So
okay?
I can't remember though.
I think it was Air Temple Island. I mean, only airbenders live there, so
Okay,
Four of
makes
them?
sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, are there other airbenders besides Aang's children?
I don't think so.
I was gonna say all the airbenders would just be
Yeah, that's why I said all four.
him and his kids. Oh, okay. I didn't hear you say
I
all
don't
four.
think Aang slept around enough for that to happen.
Yeah, exactly. That's the dirty secret of the series. Like, what are all these airbenders doing here? Oh, no idea. I don't know what happened there. Whew, weird.
Aang was a man whore.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Someone should make a soundbite out of that for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, maybe that'll get edited out, but it's been said. It's out there. We all know
read
Uh,
read Sean's fan fiction.
it.
oh my God.
Oh man, please don't write
Uh-oh.
that. Please don't write that.
So Aang found out about Zutara, and so he just started to help himself
Oh,
out.
it's all coming together. It's all coming together. The whole story the puzzle pieces are starting to fit together.
Hmm.
Oh boy.
Another person they introduced in the first episode was Toph's daughter, the metal police, the metal benders. Uh,
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of interesting. Like a
Is that what
metal
they're
police.
called?
I don't what.
Oh,
They're,
okay. I was wondering if that was the technical name for it, the metal police. It just sounds like like just metal music playing
they
or
run
something.
around with guitars.
It's like wow.
So so we've seen Aang and Katara's kids. We haven't seen Sokka and probably Suki, right? And then
Er,
Zuko.
Yeah.
Is there anyone
Um,
else? I think that. Of course, there's
that's.
spoilers on what Zuko is and stuff now, but
I
What you
doubt
said.
we'll see Zuko's kids, because they're probably busy, like, running things elsewhere,
his daughter.
ruling.
Yeah. Oh, I think we'll see them at least once. Like they saw, like how Aang saw the Earth King and the Water Tribe leaders.
Is there anything official on Azula?
I think she's dead.
I mean, is that official?
I don't know.
Did she have
No,
kids?
She was locked up.
I don't. I don't know that people could make like conjugal visits like with her. I don't know why
But
anyone would
you
want
never
to.
know because I mean she could have the family may have let her go and just be out in the wilderness. You know, I mean I haven't heard anything official. I'm not saying it makes sense
Yeah,
for her to be out there or to have had children. I mean, because if you know you watch that episode that kind of deals with her kind of trying to get a boyfriend, it doesn't work out too well. So probably didn't happen. But I'm just curious because I like the idea of her insane children coming in the story at some point because
Yeah,
like I liked Azula and I love insane characters, especially when they're
I
really
know you do.
smart and talented. Like insane characters like that are like they're really cool because they're so unpredictable. You throw them in a situation, they're not going to act like a reasonable person. You know, it's same like the Joker and the Dark Knight. It's like you throw him in there, and it's like no one can deal with him because you can't reason with him.
hmm
Because you can't give him money, you can't do all these things. He's just going to do whatever he wants, no matter what the consequences are.
There's I've been reading some forums,
Uh oh.
and so one of the talks was about how Aang died at 66. I think someone said because he's
yeah.
12 plus 66 minus 16 or something like that. Do you guys think there's gonna be a reason for it? Like, because we know Zuko and Katara is alive, but
hmm
pretty sure Toph, Sokka is dead, and Aang is dead.
Okay.
So, do you guys think we'll be seeing their kids? Or, I guess, I forget what my original question was. What did I
Were
say?
you gonna ask about the? I think I saw the same thing. The person asking about like if Aang might have died of foul play.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. How do you guys think Aang died, I guess, is the question.
Well, you know, he was in an iceberg for 100 years.
Yeah, that's
did
it.
that
Yeah.
did that affect his aging? You know what I mean? Even though he was a kid, it may be that kind of made him older still. You know what I mean? Because even though he's preserved, maybe it wasn't preserving him completely.
Yeah, like
So it's
he's.
kind of like he was 166 or something.
Yeah.
That was one thought I had. But yeah, 66 does seem young since Sugo lives longer.
I mean, my best explanation for it was probably just that, I mean, I don't think he was killed or murdered or anything. I think it was just like either age or some kind of bad accident. I don't know because while Korra like when Korra entered the world or entered the city, it wasn't like in peaceful nation style, but it wasn't.
hmm
It definitely wasn't anything like when Aang came back to the world. Like I explained in the first part, how the Equalists are now just starting their revolution of the world, right?
Yeah, they're not almost finishing their war.
Yeah.
So is
I don't
Amon
know.
is Amon really Zuko?
Huh?
Is
Is
Amon really
he's
Zuko?
no way.
I'm just kidding.
No way.
Just kidding.
I mean,
He's worn masks before.
oh my
He
god,
has.
Lucifer.
Right, I love it. You're just like this is reminding you too much of people on your forum, isn't it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not really.
Oh,
So what do you guys think about pro bending?
it's cool. I like it.
I thought
Sean?
it was okay. Um, I think like this new style they're going with. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. It's like seeing the difference between like the special effects in the new Star Wars and the old Star Wars, where the old Star Wars, or well, the new Star Wars has all these like huge, big, battles where they're using the Force to like throw buildings at each other and stuff. And then the old one, the Force is just like slight movements here and there. I feel like bending has been toned down, not maybe not to that degree, but I don't know. I kind of miss um, the huge bending battles, like what
Well,
happened in Bossing Say, where they were like tearing up the underground cavern.
right, but that's not really a fair comparison because one, we're talking about like the best benders ever, which the ones in the
Yeah.
tournament, those are just they're athletes, they're not doing it for protecting the world or destroying the world. And also they're there for a very controlled thing where they're not trying to kill each other, they're trying to push each other off the platform. So I mean,
Hmm.
and also that's later in the series, Ba Sing Se. You know what I mean? So I think we will get there.
Yeah, do you
You
guys
know what I mean?
remember Katara's water bending in the beginning? Look,
Yeah,
I caught a
That's
exactly.
true.
fish.
So I think we have to build. You know what I mean? They want to start out so that because the thing is, if you start out too strong, then when they're strong later, there's no comparison. There's no like you always want to show like here's what it is in like a low state, and then boom, so that way there's a higher contrast, and it's like whoa, like like the last episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender, like that bending stuff was like oh my goodness, that's insane. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Hmm.
We'll get there eventually, but if you start that now, then it's too early in the series. You know what I mean? You can't get any better than that, so that they have to save some of that stuff. With the pro bending stuff, um, it's interesting to see a society because, like in the other one, everyone was sort of constricted and not about entertainment.
hey,
So
wrestling. What are you talking about? Or Earth wrestling bending thing?
yeah, that's true. They did have, but that was like one episode and one place.
The
Whereas like
boulder.
this society is more comparable to our modern society where we have a lot more leisure time. We can have these events. Whereas the other one, they're all at war. There's no time for entertainment. Maybe that one bang thing. It's just interesting to see the parallels between sort of our more modern society where we spend a lot of our time being entertained.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of having a sport off pro bending, but I don't like the execution. Probably is how I would describe it. It seems kind of lame that like I wish at the very least I wish there wasn't like these tiers of like oh you guys have to move back one step. It's like just make it where they have to knock each other off. Why are they like staying in these lines? Just knock each other
I
off.
don't know. That made it more like a real sport, though. It felt like a more
That made it
legitimate
more like
sport.
chess.
No, it's not like
Yes,
chess. Give me a break. But I just hope they don't make it the
it's like football.
Quidditch. Quidditch is a sport from Harry Potter. I hope they don't make
Yeah.
it where it's ongoing. Like every 6 episodes, there's a new pro betting match. I hope it's sort of just like they're doing this at the beginning. Stuff gets so big that it's like pro betting doesn't matter anymore. They've moved on to bigger, more pressing matters, and pro betting goes off to the side. Because I
Hmm.
just hope it's sort of an early thing. Because yeah, like I said, I don't want to watch that over and over again.
Yeah, I do wonder because Mako and Bolin they're just sports athletes. They're not fighters at all. So I do wonder because obviously they're going to be staying with Korra probably the whole time, right? Like that's why they're developing them.
Yeah.
So I wonder
Yeah.
if they're actually going to find masters and train a little more. Maybe Toph's daughter might come back in and help Bolin or something. I
Hey,
don't know.
think about why do I keep forgetting his name?
Sokka?
Sokka. Why do I keep doing that? Sokka, think about him. They didn't train him until, the last season, right?
I but like
You know what
bending
I mean? So
wise,
they don't necessarily have to be fully trained. Like I said, they'll probably just train them later. And they know enough, you know? But they definitely got
yes.
their butts handed to them, and Korra
Yeah.
had to save them in episode 3 for sure. So they definitely need to learn a few things, but
Yeah, like because it's kind of interesting that with the metal bending police, and then we saw with on the third episode with Mako and the power plant. It is like we were talking about the evolution of not evolution, but like how the bending has kind of become different. Like the second episode had that Bolin teaching Korra how to like maybe stay a little more lighter on your feet when earth bending instead of just being like one strong stance. You can move and then set your feet and then do it and still get the same amount of power. And they showed that lightning bending is not just for Ozai, Azula, and Iroh.
right.
It's the common bender can do it now, and it's a job. And
Yeah.
then same with the metal bending.
Hmm.
I was actually kind of curious about the like new style of earthbending because it's so different from what Aang had to learn, where it was like stay where you are,
Yeah,
and whatever they throw at you, you just like bust through it with your like hardcoreness.
Well,
Or whatever.
I think it's because he learned the purest form of it that was not necessarily um refined. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like she learned
Like
it
the
from the
airbending.
moles. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it wasn't exactly for the purpose of fighting. So they've had all this time to perfect it and kind of hone that in and make it more of a not as much just like, throwing huge rocks and making huge mounds of stuff. It's more like I make this little perfect little circle and then launch that kind of thing. I actually did kind of see some of that in the cities. In the Earth
Hmm.
Kingdom cities, you would see them do more stuff like that. So I think that is more like the more trained ones can do more stuff like that.
Stuff like what?
Like more and not just like a rock, but they make like a sphere or a circle. You know what I mean? They make
Oh yeah, yeah.
very defined, sharp objects, and not just like Aang, where he's like he picks up just a chunk of earth and throws that chunk of earth. Did we talk about bending genetics last time?
Yes, we did.
Can we just talk about one little thing? Um, I'm wondering about the brothers. They both have different abilities, right?
Fire
Hmm.
and Earth.
Fire and earth. So does that mean that they had one fire parent and one earth, or is it that any bending parent, like let's say it's two water benders, they could potentially have a fire and earth. You know what I mean? I've just that
I'm
made
pretty
me
sure it's
curious.
related to their
Okay,
parents.
because like with the
Yeah.
Avatar, he has all of those
No,
bending
but
genetics or whatever you call it. You know what I mean?
he's
Because
still born of one nation though.
yeah, but he had a kid of each one, right?
Yeah, but
No, he had a waterbender and an airbender, and I think Katara supplied the genetics for the
What about,
waterbender.
didn't he have an earthbender?
no.
No.
No?
Aang, no.
Oh, okay.
Aang only has a waterbender, airbender, and non-bender. He has all three he can have.
Oh, okay. So we can assume that they had a fire and a earth parent then.
Which
Interesting.
Hmm.
I think I don't know if I typed this somewhere, but so the middle between the comic series, I just read a little bit of it. It's mostly about trying like the how after war they never show that on movies where they're trying to clear out the remaining soldiers that are in the Earth Kingdom. I wonder if their parents come from that kind of era.
Well, there was the in the Wikipedia overview of the comic that did come out, it was saying it was focused around a town where the firebenders were so integrated into the earthbending town
Yeah,
that they were basically like one people at that point. And so there was I don't want to say like inbreeding amongst them, but there's a better word.
Oh
But
my. Uh,
crossbreeding. Uh,
yeah, that's the
Crossbreeding.
one. That makes a lot more
Wow.
sense. But
what?
even that sounds, I don't know.
It's
But
just funny.
yeah,
They had babies.
yes, they did amongst each other.
Yes, they did. So you're saying that could be possibly how they got both genetics. They're not necessarily their parents directly, but they. So you're saying like it could have been a fire and earth then, who then like passed that down, and two Earths got married, but they still had fire from their parents, from the grandparents or something. Yeah.
No,
Yeah, possibly. I
well, I
don't
was
know.
saying because their parents might just be an Earth and Firebender.
Yeah, but what he was saying is that there was fire and earth people together there, so
Yeah,
it could be genetics passed down from that. It doesn't matter. I don't know why I find that interesting,
I
but
don't know why I
it
find that
sort of
interesting
is.
either.
It is interesting. I don't know why, but yeah.
I think, like, from what I can tell, it's just what your parents were.
Okay.
Hmm.
That's what it seems like, because Aang and Katara had, their air
What,
and water.
genetics come from your parents? It's weird.
But, like, I'm saying it doesn't
I
apply to
know.
the
I'm just kidding.
grandparents.
Yeah.
Why are we on genetics again? I think we talked to it.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh, I
Just
guess we can move on to the third episode, the big episode, right?
yeah, yeah. So the big deal um is the equals. And what do you guys think of them? Are they being reasonable here?
What do you mean by reasonable?
Their
Oh, you mean like
demands, you mean?
the.
Is it reasonable to think that like it's not fair for these people to just be born with this power that it elevates them to like this upper citizenship if you think about it. Uh, Um,
Yeah,
I understand what their message isn't the problem. It's their well, they should be fighting more for just an equal playing field with the addition of technology. But what they're doing is, at least what it seems like, is they're coming in and then they're just going to become the bad guy. You know what I mean? They're going to push people around. I think
mhm.
that's the biggest problem is,
I
they're going
don't
to come
know,
in, take away bending. Like they seem, I mean, they have all those like assassin dudes. I mean, they don't seem like the nicest people that like when they take over, it doesn't seem like they're going to be like nice
but
to people because, the guy in charge, he's probably a bender, right? He's a
I
bender.
you don't know
I
that.
don't know.
He is. He just wants to take over. You know what I mean? That just seems the
I
most
don't know.
likely to me. It seems like, I mean, that's sort of it would be better if he wasn't, but that's always the thing. Like did you watch what's it called, Christian Bale? Everyone injects themselves with this chemical to make themselves
Oh,
like not feel
equilibrium.
equilibrium. The whole thing is, well,
Yeah.
spoiler at the end, that the guy in charge of all of it expresses emotion and doesn't take the drug. Like that's always the thing. So maybe it's not, but that's always my first thought because that's sort of like the cliche is like the guy trying to take all of it away is a guy who's actually doing it. Like recently there was a guy who was very much against um, uh, everything gay and he ended up being gay himself. You know what I mean? It seems like that sort of stuff always happens. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Well, yeah, that's a popular story to go with.
Well, no,
But
also just real life, it happens a lot.
I just like
So,
I
yeah.
was rewatching the third episode, right, to do the outline, and one thing I noticed is that the whole episode is kind of saying that us non-benders aren't the ones doing the problem. Like, even when Amon takes away their bending, that's all he does. He lets them even fight back. He takes their bending and then just leaves them. He doesn't,
Hmm.
kill them. Like he ties them up, but that's about it. Like they're not doing this like super, evil thing with these guys. They're literally just saying. I feel like they're actually following their equalist site much better than a lot of other things. They're not necessarily saying they're not trying to push their weight. They're just more trying to say, let's get on this equal terms and then we can enjoy life together.
Yeah,
I,
and that's their message, but I think what we'll see as it goes on, and you're right, at this point, they have not shown any signs of being these bad people that'll do bad stuff if they took over. I just have the feeling that,
I mean, that's definitely the
um,
obvious.
yeah, like it just feels like
I don't think they're gonna go that route though, to be honest.
you don't think they're going to be bad.
I mean, I think they'll be bad, but I don't think they're just gonna go with this. Oh, Amon actually just wants to take over the world. That seems way too obvious.
Well,
Hmm.
not
Way
take over
too
the
cliche.
world. Well, then what? So you think his agenda is pure? Then there's no
I
show.
I did. Why not? Yeah, there's a show.
What? So,
It's about
well,
the conflict.
the Avatar is going to fight them, and then she's going to give up her bending.
Maybe.
Well, I think that might
No.
even be it, because like that was my thought. Like Korra's still developing her ideas here,
Yeah.
and like, what if in the end she comes to realize, well, like it isn't fair that I can, do all this. Like there's got to be some kind of transformation with her, and since right now her argument is bending is really cool, so I should be able to keep it.
Yeah. The very
There's
first
got to be
episode.
some kind of sense of understanding that she reaches that, like, I think they're going to come to terms with each other in some way. But the,
Maybe at the end, but I mean, we've already seen them use technology for violence. I
yeah,
think that's going to be the conflict is they're using technology to balance to level the playing field, and they're going to use that same thing against people that they control. I mean, maybe they won't, but that just seems like the natural way to
That's
go
how
for
a
the
bad guy
story.
is, but I don't necessarily think Amon's a natural bad guy. I think what they're trying to set up, it's kind of like with Zuko. I mean, obviously he was a bad guy, but the whole conflict with Zuko was that he was actually just trying to get his honor back. It wasn't that he like, I want to take over the world either. Like, I mean, he even that's isn't that exactly why he got banished
Yeah.
is because he stood up to his father saying,
Yes,
that's
but
going to kill our people.
if Amon is not the villain, then we need a real villain to step up.
He's still a villain. He fits he's an antagonist, I guess.
But I mean, even
Yeah.
if he's just an antagonist and not truly bad, then there needs to be some new thing that steps in and becomes the real villain. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I don't think
That's why my
where would this
personal,
show go? You know what I
I,
mean?
my personal opinion is either Amon is being controlled by someone else, or Amon or the guy controlling him thinks Amon is being controlled or something like that.
Right. Well, I mean, also Amon could just be just like Ra's al Ghul and Batman. You know what I mean? He's wearing a mask, so it
Yeah.
could theoretically be someone that is just a puppet. That dude is just that dude who happens to be pretending to be him at the moment. You know what I mean? Whenever it's a figure like that, it would be something that could be changed out. So maybe it is someone behind the scenes really running the show.
I just don't think it's as simple as he's actually a really evil guy, because the whole great part about the first one was Azula. Azula was a 10 times better villain than Ozai, and yeah, she was pretty
Oh yeah,
evil, but Ozai was just, he was the
he just sat
lame.
around.
Yeah, he was the lame, like, oh, I'm gonna take over the world. Okay, whatever. Everyone loved Azula. No one cared about Ozai.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. If that's not the villain, then something else needs to happen because the conflict would be really weird.
I
You
mean,
know what I'm saying? Like,
mhm.
if it's just like the other thing is if they just took away bending, the universe would become really lame to watch. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't necessarily think that's going to end that way, but I do. I could think that Korra might have this conflict of maybe this is the right way, maybe and maybe she learns it, tries on someone, and then feels bad or something like that.
yeah, no, there definitely will be that point where she sort of maybe is like, well, maybe we shouldn't be because maybe technology is the new bending. I think that's a natural place for the story to go.
Yeah.
I just don't believe that'll be her final decision because I think at that point she'll see technology being abused against people and she's like, "No, I need to step up and use my bending to fend off this
I do wonder,
aggression against people."
like, it'll speak volumes of if they're going to make another series if non-bending is the way to go.
Well, yeah, if the last episode is just
that
like, "Yep,
basically,
we're taking away all bending,"
yeah, that
be like,
basically
"All
says
right,
no more series.
we're done with this series. Yep, we're making a
Hmm.
new cartoon series about." Well, yeah, they just like continue it. It's all just about like normal people. It's like it's like the 1960s. It's like rock and roll music and stuff. That would be kind of hilarious.
So we're talking about how Mon can take away bending. How do you guys think he got it?
Doesn't that mean he's a bender?
Not necessarily.
Well, he has to at least have that spirit. Because well,
Said the
he
spirits
got
talked
touched
to
by
him.
a turtle.
Yeah, doesn't mean he's a
A
bender.
big See, just happened to be on that big turtle in the ocean, and then it touched him on the cheek. Just kidding.
I mean, he said this. I wrote the whole speech almost. Mostly, his background is supposedly very simple. He was in a poor family. None of them are benders, firebenders. Basically took his family away from him and then burnt his face like Zuko. You guys
Hmm.
really like? I'm wondering if,
It's Zuko.
yeah, it would not be so obvious.
That
It's
would
like
be so
took away
stupid.
my face. Zuko's back again.
Yeah. Well, that would be. I mean, he wouldn't do that. That would just be stupid.
Especially since
Yeah.
he's probably gonna show up on an episode soon.
Exactly.
So
I did briefly consider that it might be like Jet
he died though.
or
Yeah.
yeah.
The
So
saddest death
No,
ever.
he didn't. They walked away and he was still alive.
So
Right.
Toph was lying about lying. I'm lying.
Exactly.
No, I don't think so.
I'm joking.
The only I personally think Amon is just a random guy, and the closest I thought of was maybe he's related to Mako and Bolin or whatever, because they have similar stories to an extent.
He's like
They're both
their unknown brother.
that not necessarily brother, but I don't know, something related to them.
Hmm.
Maybe the dad didn't really die or something like that.
That could be
Interesting.
it.
but I don't know about that. Because I mean, I do wonder because Mako. How do you say his name? Mako,
Mako?
from Mass
I don't
Effect,
know.
and Bolin. Like they're really random parts of this story right now, right? Like they're
Yeah.
Korra's random friends, and that's about it.
Well, I mean, that's what Katara.
No, right from the beginning, Katara and well, I mean, they
They just happened to be where he was found. You know what I mean? They weren't they themselves were nothing special.
well, but
Hmm.
They were
his
just part of
but
the water tribe. You know,
their
they weren't like
parents were attacked by the Fire Nation, though. I mean, they were
yeah,
tribe. Like
yeah.
Mako, and God damn it, the brothers. Like they have nothing really against the Equalists other than that they're benders.
I guess that yeah, like there's got to be something more to them.
Yeah, like I mean, they've already had the speech of telling Korra what happened exactly, and no flashback or anything. So see what happens.
Yeah. Flashbacks are not a great way to tell a story, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
I mean, it worked in Lost, but Lost was its own thing.
I guess you guys believe Amon's story?
No,
No.
he's a bender.
I do want like it is one of the things that
It's
I'm wondering if he is straight on and that he's just trying to be an equalist or if he does have a secret agenda.
yeah. I
I don't
mean,
know.
it seems like you have to be a bender to be able to take bending away. It just that just seems logical, but maybe not.
Technically, it's supposed to be an avatar.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but I mean, but closer to that, Bender is closer to the Avatar than just Joe Smo who can't do any bending. You know what I mean?
I was wondering if like because we were talking about how Aang died early. I do wonder if maybe that has some kind of relation to it of him somehow getting the energy bending.
Yeah.
Like the biggest thing I was thinking of was that he got like somehow he got the spiritual side while Korra got the non like the four elements side. I think I read this somewhere too, but I thought it was an interesting idea. I don't know if they went that way. It doesn't feel like they would, but it definitely seems like they could have gone that way.
Yeah.
It would be interesting if the Avatar was split in two.
That would be weird.
Yeah. You're me and I'm you.
But
Hmm.
one of them hates the other. Hmm. Well, my thoughts on Amon's power that he's gained. I think he did gain it from a. I think he did get it from some
Spirit.
like spirit, but if there's anything we learn from Aang's journeys to the spirit world, it's that the spirits know a lot, and they're also like their own beings. Like they
They're,
have their own agendas,
yeah.
and so it's totally possible that he's being led on
Oh
by
yeah.
some spirit.
Yeah.
Well, like the face stealer.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love it.
Like I was actually kind of wondering if I think another idea I had of Amon was that because his like the way he does it is a little bit different than how Aang did it at the end of the finale. I wonder if he found like some kind of substitution style of not like maybe he doesn't take it away the same way or something like that. Do you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? That's
Hmm.
the only other thought I had about it. That like maybe his style he learned from what he thought was a spirit or maybe a bad spirit, and that's actually gonna kill him or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish they didn't take it with a gang so early. That would have been cool to have a gang funny enemy kind of thing.
Yeah,
The what?
The gang leaders took away their bench.
Well, that doesn't
they
mean
only
the
got
gangs are
one.
finished, though.
No, he got all three, didn't he? Because they lined up all four of them. I don't know if they were all.
Right, but just because their leader had their powers taken away, I mean, it's not very good for the gangs, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're toast.
I guess. Yeah.
I
They'll
I
still
thought it
probably
was
be
just
around a little
the
bit.
wasn't it just the one leader and then like a couple of his
Maybe yeah.
bodyguards?
Maybe it was just other people.
Yeah.
The triple threats. The well, I think I read it.
Agni Kai's
Yeah, the
like
Agni
some,
Kais.
Yeah, I
Then
thought
the
that name
Red
was kind of weird.
Monsoons. I think it's a red monsoon or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Kind of
Someone
random.
else saying the Adney Kai's name was kind of weird.
Yeah.
I thought it
Yeah,
was a little weird, but
pretty much.
who am I to say?
Well, they made this like almost not spiritual battle, but like a tradition battle from the firebending and made it a gang name. It is
Yeah,
kind of weird.
yeah, it is kind of weird. You're right.
You guys have anything else to say about Korra?
It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm loving it so far. It's
I think we'll definitely come back and
mhm.
I
talk more
mean,
next episode.
I didn't sign up for like regular TV just so I could watch on Saturdays. I did that so Ryan's not like, oh man, I have to tell you about this thing that I posted on a message board about it today.
Mister, I got found a video online, and the audio is not good enough. It bothers
Look,
me.
hey, I have standards for
It looked
Korra.
perfectly fine and sounded
No,
perfectly
it
fine.
didn't. No,
Yes,
it
it
did
did.
not.
You're so
It looked
sensitive. Uh,
okay. It looked okay, sounded awful.
it looked and sounded better than the leak. The whatever.
Well, yeah, the leak, honestly, I rewatched it in 1080p when I downloaded it later. So
I'm,
it's
Yeah.
better.
I'm not arguing.
We'll fight later.
Well, we didn't really reach. I want to talk about this real quick. We didn't really talk about this last time. I want a freaking Avatar game or whatever.
Well, didn't they technically make a couple for
A
like
good one.
PlayStation 2? Well, yeah. Well, I mean, dude, they don't make good games for any property. Like
Batman.
literally, the only game that was like highly reviewed that was based off a film was the Chronicles of Riddick game. That game was actually good, but
What
like
Yeah.
Batman?
most of the time they suck. Like, and it doesn't matter. They're not gonna put the real writers on a game. You know what I mean?
I know, but
They're gonna get the
I
D
still want
team.
it.
You know?
I'm gonna make a petition for the Bioware team to make
Oh
it.
yeah, you're gonna make a petition. BioWare?
Bioware is the perfect.
BioWare? Really?
Yes, Jade Empire is basically Avatar. You're the last spirit monk or avatar that
Right. But the
both
thing
of
is,
your guy is in communication with the spirits. He
what
learns different things and he goes and takes down the big leader, big
yes,
enemy.
yes, that's true. But the
And they
thing
have
is,
conversations.
what they've learned is that when they make their own IP, they keep all the money and they don't have the original people telling them what to do. You know, they made the Star Wars games first. And they're like, yeah, let's make our own Star Wars. You know, and that gave them the flexibility to make it an M-rated game and put whatever they
Yeah.
want in the game and not have to pay George Lucas royalties. The same with this. Like, they're not going to take this when they could just they made their own. They made Jade Empire. You know,
I still want Avatar Empire.
I mean,
I want
you,
Jade Empire 2 to be the same story as Avatar.
oh my gosh,
They have four nations and they do what's a different name for bending?
uh, and that's the other
Water
thing. How do
attacking.
you make a good
I think it's possible
Avatar
to do Jade
game?
Empire.
It would be hard to simulate the things in a game that it's so like if you're waterbending, you have to happen to be by a stream or suck water out of the air or something.
Mhm.
It'd be so hard to make it a good game. You could
Very
easily
water.
make a terrible Avatar game, but it's hard to visualize how that would really work. You know what I mean?
It's hard to make a good
Yeah.
indie game though.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of shows that are like okay, Samurai Jack video game, a lot easier to make than a Last Airbender game. You know what I mean?
Why?
You just make a ninja dude that goes around and slices up bad guys. So they're all like robots that
I'm
look
just
whale.
saying
You know what I
a
mean?
good Avatar game can be
I
made and should be made. I don't know why you're trying to put limits on it. I don't care. Some team
I'm
needs to
sorry.
find the
I'm sorry
money
for bursting
and
your
do
bubble,
it.
man. I'm sorry. You're right. 2014, The Legend of Korra, the game.
No, it's
No,
just
no.
an
The
Avatar game.
Avatar, The Last Airbender, Legend of Korra, the video game.
No,
That would be the full title.
it's about an avatar. You create your avatar, You can pick whatever nation you want, and you can be any kind of avatar you want to be.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you don't have a high
It's
expectation.
It's Jade Empire.
Oh my gosh.
Freaking Jade Empire. Okay. Anyways, let's wrap this up. Thank you, Sean, for coming back for the second episode.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I'm probably gonna, if you're up for it, we'll bring you back for, when we have another episodes that come out.
Psych.
We can psych one if you guys want.
That would be fun.
That would be really weird to talk about, though. There's so many episodes. Like, what do you talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I love Psych. I've been listening to their commentaries, but I don't know what to talk about.
Exactly. It's not because there's no
I can say I love it,
continuous. There's no continuous story to talk about.
Talk about Juliet and
Oh my
Sean.
gosh! All right, let me know if you're talking about that because I will not be here for that episode.
Anyways, thank you guys for listening, and see you guys later.